All right, we're here now. Let's sit tall. We'll close the eyes. Take a nice breath in and a nice breath out. And just breathe with awareness, complete awareness. Don't worry about anything outside of yourself. Just keep going deeper inside, into the quiet spaces, the peaceful places, the serenity. And draw the hands together in front of the heart. And from that place of serenity, let's lift our voices in one Om and the invocation mantras. Join me if you know them. Taking a breath in. Om. Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha Hari Om. Ganana antva ganapatigam havamahe kavin kavinam upamashravastamam jestarajam brahmanaspata anashrinvanuti pisidhasatanam mahaganapataye namaha Prano Devi Saraswati Vajibhirvajinivati Dhinama Vitriyavatu Ano Divo Brahataf Parvata Da Saraswati Ajata Gantu Yagnyam Havan Devi Jujushana Kritachi Shagman Novacha Mushati Shrinotu Vagdevyai Namaha. And gently releasing the hands down and fluttering the eyes open. So today I thought we would talk about a couple of things. The complexity of the world, the complexity of life, and how to meet that complexity, that diversity with peace. What are the tools that we need in order to walk through this life and all of its diversity and maintain peace within ourselves? It's not a topic we haven't talked about before. We've talked about it many, many times. But today I'm going to approach this from the place and the symbolism, the wisdom of the Divine Mother. So in the tradition of Sanatana Dharma, there are many, many names for the goddess. And you could say there are many, many goddesses. Potentially 1 million of them. So many. Each aspect of the goddess has many different names. And each one of those names represents a different function of life, a different function of relationship, a different function of person, of individual, a different function of the path, a different experience that we have. There are, in many traditions within Sanatana Dharma, there's 3 primary forms of the goddess. There's this one, there's actually 4, but one is not a form. There's the formless feminine, which is called Shakti. Shakti is not an embodiment. Shakti has no form. You can't say Shakti is blonde or brunette, tall or short, young or old, because Shakti has no characteristics like that. Shakti is energy, period. Have you ever seen energy? No. There's no quality or characteristic that you can put to it. Have you felt energy? Sure. Absolutely. But can you put it to words that encompass its fullness? No. You can pick little parts and say, I feel energetic. What does that mean? It could mean that you feel tired. It could mean you feel passionate. You feel angry. You feel creative. You feel like you want to clean the house. It could mean many different things. So it's formless and very difficult to define. Might not even be possible. Shakti manifests into three primary forms. The first is Saraswati. Saraswati, simplistically put, is called the mother of education and creativity. Patron mother of the artists and musicians. Now we can look at the energy of Saraswati as creatrix on at a minimum 3 levels. The first is very practical. Everything in this life begins. Birth. It's a beginning. Every morning is the beginning of a new day. Every moment is the beginning of a new experience. Every evening is the beginning of a potentially restful sleep. Every word is the beginning of a new thought, of a new sentence, of a new communication. So on a very practical level, the Divine Mother, Saraswati, represents all the beginnings that we experience. On the next level, she represents creativity. Every single person in this room has had a longing in this life to express themselves. Does anybody disagree with that? You all want to express yourself. To have something that you do, something that you manifest, be truly from your heart, and something that's memorable. If not only to you, then to others as well. That's the energy of Saraswati, this impulse toward inspiration. The beginning of the creativity. How do I put my words on paper? How do I paint the vision that's in my mind? How do I sculpt what I see in the wood or in the marble? She's the inspiration that calls you to that. On the third level, she's the mother of sound. On a practical level, sound is communication. I'm speaking, you're listening. I'm trying to make some sense with the words that I'm choosing. And I'm trying to have them be clearly truthful. But we don't always use our words like that. We don't always use sound for truth. As a matter of fact, most times we use sound to obscure the truth. We use sound to focus on one thing and not the other, to mislead ourselves and others. And here's a very simple example. Someone asks you, "Hey, how are you doing today?" And you say, "I'm good." How many of you have given that answer and didn't mean it? Every hand in this room should be up. We use this gift of sound to obscure the truth. But that's not why it was given to us. It was given to us to exemplify the truth, to speak the truth, and to connect more deeply to ourselves and to each other through the vibrational truth. So that's like that That's the third level. That's that high spiritual aesthetic level, you know. There's a beginning all the time. There's the call to inspiration to have some kind of human creativity manifest from within us. And there's the adherence to truth. This is all the Mother Saraswati. Now, how does this impact our peace, our relationships? Instead of beginnings, we're more concerned with endings. We meet somebody, we like them as a friend or as more than that, and we say, this has to last forever. This is exactly what I was looking for. So we have an appreciation for the beginning, which was the meeting point, but we kind of push that off to the side because now that this thing has begun, we want to deny that it has the potential to end. Therefore, we're not present in this moment with gratitude for the beginning because we're trying with all of our human angst to stop an ending that we don't even know when, where, or if it will happen. We're called to inspiration, to create. But we listen so much to the half and less than half truths that come out of other mouths, and that society as a whole pushes upon us, that we shove that inspiration right back down again out of fear that whatever we create, whatever we bring forth creatively won't be acceptable, won't be good enough. So we shove it down. And when we shove the inspiration down, we get sick. It makes us sick. How does it make us sick? It makes us sick because it's our birthright to bring in this beautiful divinity that we see all around us, to cultivate it within ourselves in such a way that we then express it again uniquely in our own way. That's what we're here for. We're here to be inspired by love, by loss. We're here to be inspired by the smoothness of the path and by the rockiness of the path. We're here to be inspired by, as my grandson would appreciate, the flat earth walking, as well as the steep mountain climbing. He preferred the flat earth walking. When we were over in Ireland, I misrepresented. See, I used my sound to misrepresent. And I said, we're going to do just flat earth walking today. And he was so happy because we had done some steep climbing. And then we ended up climbing. And every so often on the way up, he would say, memes, because, I'm Mimi, memes, this isn't flat earth walking. And I said, I know. Keep your 15-year-old self quiet. So we're called to this inspiration, but we shove it down out of fear. And when we repress ourself and our healthy creative expression, how on earth do we communicate with each other truthfully? If we feel that we are not presenting ourselves wholly, then how do we become present in relationship wholly? It's not possible. And then finally, on that third tier is the vibrational truth. We have, each and every one of us, been endowed with knowledge and wisdom of the truth. And the one in this room that is closest to remembering that truth is that little baby back there. Because he hasn't forgotten yet. The rest of us are deep in forgetfulness. We're called to remember, and we want to remember, but we're also afraid to remember. Because for however many years old you are, You've invested a lot in whatever character it is that you're playing, whatever disguise it is that you're wearing. You've invested an amazing amount of energy into that and trying to make that be the reality. And so now, in order to remember that ultimate truth, you have to let go of that identity. And that's scary. Because that's the identity that you walk through the world with. It's how you understand things. And it's like, well, if I don't have this identity, then who am I? But the greater question that you can ask yourself is, as long as I am carrying the weight of this identity with me, what am I denying myself? How much am I denying myself? How much is this identity weighing me down, keeping me in a little box? So the Mother Saraswati, she says, in order to embrace the beginning, you have to be present to it and stop worrying about the end. Endings happen. You don't have control over them necessarily. 99.999% of the time, it's out of your hands. So stop worrying about that which is not manifesting right now, and instead be present now. Creativity, do it. Get the canvas and the paints and paint something. Get the piece of paper and a pencil or pen and write it down. Get the piece of wood or the piece of marble and sculpt. Think creatively. Be creative. See divinity in the trees. Don't be afraid to sit in your backyard and just watch the birds fly, the trees move in the wind. Don't be afraid to sit and to watch the creative glory of nature. Go sit in the garden and watch. People say, how much do you use on bug control here? Like, well, a couple of things. First of all, we don't use chemicals here. We only use natural stuff. And much of the time, we just leave them alone. Like, if there's an infestation and we have to do something, we do. But most of the time, it's just like, that's nature, you know? So check it out. Go check out the ladybugs and the squash bugs and look at how they're feasting, you know, and they're supporting themselves and their little buggy families, you know.
At the front window.
Yeah.
Like if you stand at the front window for even just a short amount of time, you see all kinds of birds and hummingbirds and all kinds of bees. It's amazing how many just in that tiny little spot.
It's beautifully inspiring. That's creation. That's the mother's creation. And you're part of it. So for as much glory and wonder as you feel when you witness it, don't forget you are also it. So take some of that wonder and bring it inside of yourself so that you grow a deeper appreciation for who and what you are. Stop worrying about, am I good enough? Is the world going to accept me? Who cares what others have to say? They don't accept themselves. How can they accept you? The person who accepts you is a wise person because they also accept themselves. The person who just says they accept you but has a whole bunch of conditions associated with that is an unwise person because they don't accept themselves either. They're just as lost as you are. If you needed brain surgery, would you go to your neighbor and say to them, I need brain surgery. Tell me what to do. I hope you wouldn't do that because they have no idea about the brain. If you want to know about brain surgery, you got to go talk to the person who's wise in that area. If you want to know about who you really are, what you really are, then don't go ask the person who's lost to themselves. You need to seek out people who are looking for themselves, truthfully, honestly, and sincerely, and people who have found themselves. So this third tier vibration, chant more than you talk. Because talking leads us into those little half-truths. We're walking on flatland today. Sure we are. Chant more. Because in the mantra, there's no lie. There's no half-truth in the mantra. There's nothing lacking in the mantra. When you feel like you want to get on the phone and tell someone a piece of your mind, just to alleviate the heat of some of that anger that you feel, go sit on your meditation cushion and chant. When you feel like you want to overly explain yourself, like you want to tell your story again and again and again and again, go on that meditation cushion, sit down, and start chanting. When you feel like you want to accuse somebody, and it's a reaction, and not a conversation about something that has substance, go get on that meditation cushion and chant rather than accuse. See your meditation cushion as the sanctuary that saves you from yourself. Because that's really what it is, you know. It saves you from your little S self. And it introduces you slowly but certainly to the capital S self. So take sanctuary in that meditation cushion and in the practice of chanting. And what do you chant? Well, the Divine Mother, the inspiration for the Divine Mother, you can chant the seed sound Aim. A-I-M. Aim. It's not aim. It's Aim. You're pronouncing the A, the I, and the N. Aim. Or you can chant Aim Shrim Saraswati Namaha. Aim Shrim Saraswati Namaha. Or you can chant Om Namah Saraswati Namaha. Anything with her name or her seed sound. Easiest one is Aim. It's one word. Aim. Aim. Let's do that. Close your eyes. Sit tall. Join me. Aim. 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 I'm. Just sit with that energy for a moment. Somebody likes that energy. The second goddess is Lakshmi. Lakshmi is the mother of abundance. She's the mother of maintenance. And on the first practical level, what she represents to us is having stuff. A house, a car, a job. Having those things that make life a little bit more comfortable, if not problematic. Right? Because you have a car, and then you have to worry about having insurance. And then you have to worry about not having an accident lest your insurance rates go up. You have a car, then you have to worry about having money for the bills. And then you have to worry about maintaining that because you know how long those bills last. What's the mortgage today? 20 years, 30 years, something like that, right? So that's like a long-term worry. But still, we need to have a roof over our head. So on a very practical level, the Mother Saraswati is the abundance that provides that. She is the one who provides for us, for the maintenance of our human self. And we can look at that on so many different levels. She provides the abundance that exists within both the natural world and the human-made world. The abundance of this physical body also to heal itself. Like yesterday, day before yesterday, I was doing some work out in the garden and I walked into the shed And there's the lawnmower has those decks that have the blades in them, right? And we have a very big lawnmower here that we actually haven't used yet because I traded the old model in for a new one. But we have somebody do the lawn. So it's an in-case kind of thing, in case I want to start doing the lawn again. And so the deck right now is in the shed. And it's this big, humongous yellow thing. It's like a John Deere, right? 48-inch wide thing. So, and it's got these things that are sticking up out of it. So I walk in there in my capris, and I bang my leg into one of these things that are sticking out from the deck. And look at this. Isn't this a cool little Band-Aid? I had an orange and yellow one on, but I had to change it, so now it's blue. But the cool abundance that the Mother Lakshmi brings us is that will heal. That will heal. This body will heal. It will maintain itself to the very best of its ability for as long as it can. So this practical level is not just the material things, but it's also the physical, physiological things as well, On the second level, there's this abundance of curiosity. There's the ability to learn, to maintain education throughout the length of our life. Rachel, are you done learning yet? Anne Marie, are you done learning yet? Anybody in here done learning yet? No. I don't know if I'm the oldest one here today, but I'm 60. I'm not done learning yet. People are sometimes surprised to hear that I study with a Swami because he's got more wisdom than I do. So I go to him, I study with my guru when he was alive, and I still study with him because his wisdom is profoundly eternal. We're never done learning. And our curious nature, the way that we look and say, I want to know how Anne Marie decided to put these flowers in this particular order, because isn't it just adorable? And she did this throughout the ashram. I want to know why there are so many different kind of wasps here now that weren't here previously. I want to know why the strawberries, they came about twice this year, when usually we only have a single harvest. It's the curiosity. That's the Mother Lakshmi. It's the curiosity that maintains you going through life, asking questions. Not just questions about bugs and wonderful vegetables and fruits and flowers, but questions about who am I? What is my purpose in this life? Let me be so curious about that question, what is my purpose in this life, that I continually seek it out, that I continually look for it. So on this middle level, this step up from the material is the highly personal, this question about purpose and this curiosity about the functioning of things. Mother Lakshmi. And then on this third level, this very, very esoteric level, it's maintenance by way of the truth. It's coming to the understanding that I have so much more than I need. I think that all the things that I have are going to sustain me, but they don't. They're just actually weights that I have to carry around with me, This is why when individuals take sannyas vows, they get rid of a lot of stuff. They minimize greatly. And some minimize so much. Your traditional sannyasins in India, they minimize so much that they own nothing. They have, if they're a male or if they're a female, they have one cloth to wrap their body in. And in the most, what we would call extreme, but over there they would say in the most profound of these sannyasins, they have the cranium of a human skull that they use as a bowl to receive alms. Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the Calvin. It's the calvarium of the. It's the top portion of the skull.
What did you say their name?
Sannyasin. Sannyasin. Yeah.
And those are the people that take the vow
Of abstinence in life, of separation in life. Yeah. So I've taken my sannyas vows. I'm a monk. They're monks of some sort or another, but different. There's all types of intention there, and so I've been raised in the West. I'm here in the West. My vows of sannyas, I've minimized my life greatly, and I'm in service. So Swamiji would say I'm a karma yogi, and I'm also a jnana yogi because I'm very in the intellectual realm, and I teach. I'm a teacher. So not all sannyasins are teachers. As a matter of fact, many of them won't teach. They don't want to get involved in it because it's a worldly attachment. Like, I have a relationship with each person in this room. They don't want the relationship. They just want to go and pray 24/7 or do their ritual or whatever it is that they do. So they're not teachers. And if you go to them and ask them questions, they may answer you, but they'll do it very impersonally because they don't want the bonds of the relationship, because the relationship is earthly. They're not concerned with earthly. They're concerned only with godly. So the sannyasin or the sannyasi is the feminine, sannyasin is the masculine. The sannyasin takes their vows. And as I said, the most extreme, which is not really extreme to them, it's common sense to them. They have a cloth that they wrap around their body. They have the calvarium, the top of the skull that they've gotten from the burial grounds. And they carry that around. That's what they've got. Maybe they have a mala.
So there's different aspects of renunciation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There are monks who live in mansions. And there are monks who sleep in the street. It just all depends on what their drive is in life. You know, people think automatically if you're a monk you have to be a certain way. It's like no. There's different traditions, and there's also different callings from the heart. One monk will sit there and they'll chant japa. They'll do japa day in and day out every day. And they won't speak a word. They'll just keep praying. And then you have another one who is handing food to the poor and trying to help individuals who suffer from addiction overcome their addiction, and who are out, teaching in some way, shape, or form. And you have another individual who's a monk who is just simply leading rituals. That's what they're doing. They're not teaching, they're leading rituals. They're typically pujaris, leading rituals. And that's what they do. They do rituals for the benefit of all humankind and of all kinds, human or not. And so there's so many different. You have some monks who build temples, some monks who tear them down. You have some monks who pray to the goddess. You have some who pray to the masculine god. All kinds. It can get complicated. Yeah. So this upper kind of tier of Lakshmi, of the goddess of abundance, is when you take and you yourself make your investment in the truth by way of shedding the things that you thought would sustain you, but don't really, because you recognize that they are simply sucking up your energy. And instead, you live with less, you do with less, and you have joy in the simplicity. The maintenance, the highest level maintenance, comes by way of simplicity. Most of us, most human beings, are in a place where they think complexity is what's going to sustain us. So that first level, that materialization, I think it's pretty obvious, what the slippery slope is there. It's the attachment to the thing. So I used to wear leather when I was younger, when I was in my teens. I loved fringes. And my most favorite item was this black leather jacket that I saved a really long time to get. It had fringes all over it, and yes, I was a pretty wild child, very much so. And we'd get all decked out in the black leather halter, the black leather pants, the black leather boots, or brown, and this black leather jacket. And then I got to a point with my vegetarianism that I didn't want to wear the leather anymore because it started bothering me. Like the smell started bothering. I don't know what it was, but it just did. I was a vegetarian, and yes, I wore leather. I was a vegan, and I wore leather. So I started giving away all my leather. Started gifting it to people. Not that jacket. I had that jacket for a good 5 or 6 years. I didn't wear it. I stopped wearing it. It sat in my closet. But I couldn't bring myself to give it away. There was just such an attachment to it. Not only was it something that I had invested in heavily as far as the way I identified myself, but it was also something that it was like the last thread that was attaching me to what if I want to be that person again? And then one day, I just decided enough is enough. And I didn't give it as a gift to anybody. I donated it. I just stuck it in a donation bin, walked away. And as I walked away, I thought, I wonder if I'd get arrested if I opened that up and took it back out again. And then I just kind of giggled and kept walking, But so what are you ready to get rid of? So that you can begin to minimize those worldly attachments that each and every one of you have. We all have them. What is it that you can do? In my relationship when I was married, when my husband was still with us, we had a commitment to one another. My husband liked to collect things. Lots of things. I like to throw things away. So we said, what we don't use goes into a box, gets taped up and put up in the attic. And if we do not open that box in 2 or 3 years, it gets donated without even opening it to look and see what's in there. I'm good with this. Well, the first cycle came around. I go up into the closet and there's this pile of stuff. It hasn't been opened. 3 years, Obviously, if you don't need something for 3 years, so I start taking the boxes down and I start putting them in my trunk. And Ed comes and he's like, oh, honey, I'll take care of that for you. Don't worry about it. Put it in my trunk and I'll drop it off on the way. And so I didn't want to shock him. So I just had 4 boxes. There was more, but I just took 4. So I'm like, great, you go ahead, you drop them off. And there were a couple of other things that I had thrown out in the garbage because I was like, these don't even need to be donated. We could just get rid of them. 3 months later, I go into the trunk of his car for something. Guess what's in there?
Everything?
Everything. The boxes and the things I threw in the garbage.
Oh.
And I went to him and I said, excuse me. I just went into your trunk because I was looking for something. And he went, before you say anything, we could use some of the stuff that's in there. And I said, we didn't open those boxes for 3 years, and they've been not opened in your trunk for 3 more months. Out they go. But see, that's how hard it is, right? That's how challenging it is, because there's still, I've got stuff that I could still get rid of, I have entirely too many clothes, but I do admit that I like, even if it's just orange. I love fashion. I do. And so I'm always like, this would look cute together. This would be fun together, And at some point I just have to, okay, whatever. Pair of pants and a shirt. That's all you need, So we all have stuff still. But what do you have that you can go home today and you can say, I don't need this attachment. This is just an attachment. This is not going to sustain me. And donate it or gift it. But if you gift it, the person you're gifting it to might not really want it, but they'll take it because they love you. So maybe donate it. And then if somebody needs it or thinks they need it, then they'll have access to it. The second level, the curiosity, this is a slippery slope too. Because this is a hyper-stimulated world. How many ads do you watch on television every day, Cindy? Or hear on the radio?
A lot.
How many billboards do you drive by every day? You're constantly being bombarded with information. And where this leads us to is, should I do this or should I do this? It's like the Scarecrow in The Wizard of Oz. Well, you can go that way, or you can go that way, or you can go that way, or that way, or that way, or that way, or 10,000 other different ways. And in each of those directions, you have somebody egging you on.
Telling you that's the right way.
Right. And so, because there's that self-doubt we talked about before, because somebody said to you, that is the right way for you, you begin to invest in their half or less than half truth, and you start looking for justification to go in that direction, turning yourself away from the voice of truth within yourself. So you have to be mindful that your curiosity is pure, that it's not being brought about from fear, from a sense of lacking, or from inappropriately weighting other people's words and expectations. You have to, in other words, block out all of that external noise and start listening to the internal voice, the one that's deeper than the fear. It's hard, right? Don't you love those little sounds?
He's so happy.
The third goddess that we have is the Mother Durga, and sometimes referred to as Durga Kali or Kali Durga. She's the goddess of destruction. She's the goddess of endings. Now, we started off by talking about the goddess of beginnings and said that one of the slippery slopes about that is that we're happy sometimes when things begin, but we immediately start worrying about the ending. The Mother Durga says to us, stop worrying about the ending. It's inevitable. Why are you worrying about the ending? It's going to happen. Stop worrying about it. The ending must happen for something new to begin. Beautiful example. Your wife had a baby. Could you imagine if she was still pregnant? The pregnancy had to come to an end in order for that little baby's life to begin outside of the womb. Your day of activity has to end so that you can sleep and replenish yourself so that you have more energy for later. There has to be an ending. So why are you so afraid of it? This is the Mother Durga's lesson to us. One of them, there's so many. So on the practical level of the wisdom that she provides to us is this recognition of endings. That whatever begins comes to an end. In this manifested material world. In the natural world also. The tree begins as a little seed, starts to grow up, has beautiful blossoms. One day the tree won't be there anymore. For any number of reasons. One day that tree won't be there anymore. So the first level, the practical information, the practical application of her wisdom is this understanding that what begins also ends. The next level is the work of coming into accepting that. coming to accept that this is a transient world we live in. It's not just an idea. It's an actuality. Everything is transient in this world. The natural world and the human-made world. Everything is transient. The sentence I just said is done. The topic I talked about on earlier this morning is over. The sleep I was getting last night is finished. The movie I was watching, completed. The book I was reading, almost done. Everything is always moving toward that ending. And therefore, everything is always changing. That little baby was inside the belly. Now that little baby is in the world. This little baby's about this long-ish. Going to stay that way forever? No. I didn't see Marceline for a couple of weeks because I was over in Ireland. That kid grew. Brahmani pointed out yesterday. She's got her in the little car seat thing, and there's like different layers of cushions. And before I left, her little feeties reached the blue edge of the cushion. Now they reach the edge of the car seat. She changed so much in just 2.5 weeks. Think about, you were a little baby like that. And now look at who you are, where you are, and how many manifestations of you there have been in however many years you have been alive, however many minutes, however many seconds. Second to second, you're different. Minute to minute, you're different. You're always changing. That's the second level. So the first level is, there's an ending to everything that manifests. The second level is, therefore, change is inevitable. Change is always happening. So why be afraid of it? Why be intimidated by it? And the third level is, there's beauty in the destruction. How many of you have actively torn yourself apart in order to build yourself back up again? How many of you have decided there was something about your life that you didn't like, and so you worked to change it? That esoteric level, destruction is beautiful. Because divine destruction is beautiful. Because it makes way for something new. A deeper clarity, a greater understanding, a more complete surrender. So we could call that third tier surrender. Surrender to what is. Now, the slippery slope of that practical level, that acceptance or that understanding that everything has an ending to it, is fear. Fear and anger and expectation, attachment to what we think should be. Like, I didn't marry my husband because I thought he was going to die at the age of 59. I married him because I figured we would grow old together and sit in those little, swinging chairs together and talk about all the wonderful things we talked about. So there was an expectation for a different ending there. But it's okay, because the moment that he died, I had this it's difficult to put into words, but it was a profound realization. He couldn't have stopped it if he wanted to, no matter how much he wanted to. It's what had to be. And then I look and I see the sacrifices that he made throughout his life so that I could pursue the things that mattered to me. And that ending was one of them. Because a year later, I would not have taken my sannyasin vows. Because in my tradition that I belong to, if I was a married woman, I'm not able to. So there's growth. There's sorrow, but there's growth. There's sorrow, but there's also love. There's sorrow, but there's gratitude, appreciation. Don't waste the love. Don't waste your time denying the love. Be eternally grateful for the love, because it's the fertilizer that's going to allow you to continue growing, whether that person is by your side physically or not. Stop being so hell-bent on this relationship has to last forever. You're already in an eternal relationship that way. The human relationship isn't meant to be that. We're here to be fertilizer for each other in a kind of weird way. We're here to be teachers to each other. We're here to serve each other for as long as that service is needed. And for as long as I'll be on this planet, for as long as my karma necessitates me being here. And then I won't be here anymore. You'll be here on this planet doing whatever work you're doing for as long as your karma necessitates that you be here. And then you won't be here anymore in this body. You'll come back in another one. But this body's work will be done. In India, there's sorrow for that. But there's also celebration. Because the one truth about human existence is the suffering that accompanies it. And the one truth about the death of the physical body is the freedom of the soul. And that you and me, we can pray for our loved ones and for all beings. We can do rituals. We can intend for their next birth to be a high-level birth, the embodiment of a saintly individual who brings peace to this realm. After all, ultimately, that's their soul's calling, and that's your soul's calling. So we don't become, I kind of jumped up to the third one, so we don't become so absolutely, completely distraught by the concept of death. Instead, we see it as a transformative time. May this being who has passed, I have no doubt, my husband is back here somewhere. I'm certain we'll cross paths again. I don't know, 9 months old, you say? Ed passed away 5 years ago. There's a possibility there, you know? Yeah. May Eon do great things in his life. Absolutely. Be the saint, you know? Yeah. It's so comforting to know that. So the slippery slope is fear across the board, you know? And fear will damage our relationships to ourselves and to all others. On the second level, the misuse or misapplication of the divine gifts we've been given, the gift of creativity and inspiration, the gift of curiosity, the gift of understanding the necessity of change. The misapplication of that and the misunderstanding of that is the slippery slope. We have to constantly work to understand more profoundly the truth of these things. And then the esoteric level doesn't really have a slippery slope. The slippery slopes are in 1 and 2. On the third level, it is what it is. You know? So, Mother Saraswati, Mother Lakshmi, and Mother Durga Kali, the creation, the maintenance, and the destruction. The ways of the world, the natural world, the human-made world, the ways of the manifested universe. And we are part of that, whether we want to be or not. It's not something to be afraid of. You can be awed by it. You can be moved and inspired by it. And you can just be with it. Any questions or reflections?
I have a quick clarification. So, I guess where's Parvati? Is that what's the Tridevi?
So these three are the Tridevi.
Okay.
Tridevi is Saraswati is the creatrix or the consort of Brahma. Lakshmi is the abundance. So her seed sound is Shreem. One of them, she has a few. But Shri is the abundance. And her consort is Vishnu. And then Durga Kali is the consort of Shiva. Shiva is consciousness. And they are the energy of that consciousness. And Parvati is an incarnation. Because Parvati is one of the wives of Shiva. Yeah.
You need a chart.
Yes, because there's more. That's all we're going to do for today.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Parvati is one of the aspects of the Mother Durga. Yeah. Yeah. Any questions or reflections other than that? No? Yes.
Well, when you were talking about, donating things and giving away things, there's I know an exercise studio in Maui when we were there, and the person who runs it was asking for donations of Zumba wear because the people in Lahaina lost everything. They lost all their clothes, and I have so many clothes of Zumba wear. I could just fill up a box, easily fill up a box and send it.
Yeah.
And that's a great thing.
Absolutely.
To help someone else, who doesn't have any.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they've lost so much. Many have lost their lives. Right? Many lost their homes. The whole town is gone.
Yeah.
So yes, if you do, by all means.
You can donate your clothes or anything
Anything.
to them.
There's got to be organizations on the ground there that are helping to care for any animals, that are helping people to relocate or rebuild, and contact those organizations and see what you can do. You might not think that you can do a lot, but you can do more than you think you can. Absolutely. And so what is it? It costs something to ship clothes over there, but that's okay. So you buy one less coffee, 2 less coffees. Now you go off a coffee for a week. Yeah. Go off a chocolate for a week, it's easier.
Free coffee for teachers for the month of September at Wawa.
Oh, there you go. Anybody a teacher in here? I'm a teacher. Free coffee. Just the coffee or the lattes too?
I haven't gone there to get one yet.
I don't care for their coffee, but I do. Their lattes are not so bad. They're better than Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah.
Oh, all right, wonderful. Well, it's really good to see everybody today. Let's sit up and close the eyes and just take a moment. Let the energy of the moment resonate. Draw the hands together in front of the heart. Lift our voices in one Om. Om Shri Matre Namaha. Thank you all so much for being here today. So wonderful to see each and every one of you. To welcome the new little ones to the world. Oh, so wonderful. Have a beautiful rest of your day. If you haven't eaten yet, our volunteers scooched down to the kitchen to go get everything ready. So please do give them some love. The food is wonderful. This weekend has just been so full of nourishing food, grown in the garden for the most part, and peaches. All the peaches that you've had this weekend for however long you've been around this weekend all come from our peach trees. They're so wonderful. Those peaches are so good. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do now. All right. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy your day.